What's up guys, today's deck profile is going to be on Machina the Machine Lord. I think this ruler is extremely interesting because he has a mechanic I haven't seen enforceable yet. The fact that he can search something during two phases of a turn, I guess you could say, because you could do it once during your opponent's end phase and then once again during your draw, makes it extremely powerful. Normally when you play kill spells or counters, it's a 1-for-1 because they play a card and you destroy it, or they play a card and you counter it. And your hands are equally going down, so you're both kind of, I mean, it's a 1-for-1, so it's fair, but you're both losing a card, you know? You use your counter, they use their monster, they attack, then you use removal. And so, of course, that kind of pacing is fine, but you need to find a way to plus at some point so that you can kind of overwhelm your opponent. And I think Machina does that really good. He's the first ruler that I've been able to see that can use a really small resonator count and still have a bunch of kill spells and counters without falling behind because he can constantly search. His exact effect is you can search your main deck for an additional resonator with total cost X, which is what you pay, with no attribute. You reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your main deck, play this ability only once per turn. So once again, like you can, if you have two open, you can pay one during your opponent's end phase to search a Clockwork Soldier, and then during your draw you do it again, and then you untap and you just kind of got two cards, so it's really awesome. And then on his J-Ruler side, it's when this card enters your field, you may put up to 3 Resonators and or additions with no attribute from your hand into your field, banish a Resonator with no attribute, prevent all damage that would be dealt to this card until the end of turn, and his God ability is pay 3 Resonators with no attribute you control cannot be destroyed this turn. So I think it's overall a very strong ruler. Like I said, I think it's really cool that you can play a ton of removal spells and a ton of counters and still not fall behind. So the colors I decided to use were green, black, and red, and it kind of has not really like a ramp engine, but I used Blessing of Yggdrasil to get to some really cool combo cards too, and I'll get into it as I explain the small sections of the decks. So for the magic stones, I'm running a Feethsing the Holy Windstone and a Grusbelesta the Sealing Stone. Why I think these are so important to play is because Grusbelesta is really good in this format as well. Being able to double up on this thing's effect kills most low drop resonators, and once again, if you're using your stones in order to answer to their field, while at the same time continuously adding stuff to your hand and using kill spells, you're using as little resource as possible while adding so much to your hand. And they're eventually going to run out of cards while you just swarm the field with machines and they won't be able to answer to all of it. Feethsing is really good because I actually like Imitation Dragon, even though a lot of people think it's a bad card. I think it can swing for an extremely high amount of damage, and being able to just put it in the field with Machina's effect means that they have to go out of their way to now kill it. Even if it was to eat up one thunder and just kind of die from it, I don't think it's so bad because, like I said, you're normally outpacing them so much that the thunder they have in their hand is either like the last 2 cards or they're top decking at that point. And if I have so much advantage that they're top decking a thunder to kill my Imitation Dragon, I'm pretty sure the rest of my field is really well sustained, and I don't need to worry about it dying. It's not going to be one of those cards that you just drop because you feel like it and then they destroy it and you feel bad. If you play it correctly, it's actually a lot of damage, and the field spell makes it really strong as well. And then I have 4 Magic Stone of Black Silence. Also Feethsing can protect Imitation Dragon from stuff like Thunder too, and once again it's free, so they're constantly using resources while you're just using stuff like your stones and adding cards to your hand, and it never feels like you're minusing while they are. So then 4 Magic Stone of Black Silence, just for the black-green, and 4 Magic Stone of Blasting Waves. The black-green is because I have kill spells, and then the red-green is because of slight kill spells, and mainly because I also have sighted bonsai attacks. I haven't really found a situation much where I feel like I need it, but I have it in there just in case, because if you're going against a matchup that's very stale and they're kind of just stalling it out, you can essentially use bonsai attack on all your resonators and go for game. And if you have the stones for it, which is kind of expensive, it would cost you 7, but if you have the stones for it, if somehow they survive that turn, you can use Machina's God ability to make them all immune to destruction, and then only Machina would die because it doesn't affect himself. But so it would be really cool to just kind of protect absolutely everything, and he'd be the one to die. But if you bonsai attacked, did all that damage, and they somehow barely survived, and then you make everything not be able to destroy during the end phase, I'm pretty sure next turn you're going to have game anyway. So I haven't really used it yet, but I have it there just in case, and then a bunch of kill spells. So like I mentioned with the Resonators, I have a very small lineup. I have 4 Clockwork Soldiers, which is a 103-3 with target attack, which is really good. And you can pay 1 for this card to gain 200 until the end of turn, and then at the end of turn you banish it. That's kind of an irrelevant part, the banish part, because not only can you get these to your hand really often, but you would only do it in a situation where you know you're getting the damage in and it's going to be either lethal or just really worth it, like if you're crashing into another Resonator. I would never do it just to get the damage and kill itself, unless, you know, like I said, it's into a really big Resonator, you really need to get the damage in. But I think it's great that you can pay such a little amount, especially because if you have a couple of these on the field, maybe even if you have, let's say, just one, and during your draw you have like 3 open, you can essentially use his Machina's ruler side effect to search for like the field spell, and then use the little extra one you have to pump it by 200. So it's kind of like a just why not. And then when you play the field spell, he'll gain another 200, and if you can get that damage in, it'll be really strong. And then for Clockwork Scaleplanes, I thought this card was really awful. I mean, I like the 1-drop, but this one I originally didn't like when I first saw it, but it actually puts in a lot of work. The fact that with 1 field spell, it's a 7/7 with flying, just gets so much damage in. I mean, that's a 2-drop with Alice stats, and setting it up is so much easier because you're wasting the resources. You don't have to worry about kind of catching up, which is what I feel like playing the Alice Resonator feels like. Sometimes it feels so expensive that before you can actually really utilize her, they've kind of already established a board, or you have to immediately respond to something, and it makes you feel like a waste. So having this be that strong is just really good in my opinion. I have 3 Charging Assaulters. This is just for extra pressure. I don't particularly have much to say about this card other than the fact that it's a 9/9 with the field spell and gets even more attack if it's blocked. It must attack if able, which I feel like can sometimes hinder it, but with it, by the time I actually focus on dropping 3 drops, once again I always wait to fully waste all the resources before I start doing it. And it feels like it could put enough pressure in if my damage isn't high enough, and it kind of can do as much damage as like a Clockwork Soldier would do. Only, like I said, if you don't have lethal damage, you don't want to be going for its effect because you don't want to lose a Resonator. So sometimes Charging Assaulter feels like the pressure it adds is a lot better. And then 3 Imitation Dragon. Same thing like I mentioned earlier. I don't mind that it dies if it takes any damage, because not only can you protect it with Feethsing, but you have so many like counters like Keen Sense. Machina can protect it with its effect as well. This is just something you wouldn't really play at 4. I would just start searching for this if needed, or if it goes into my hand originally, I'd drop it with Machina so it feels kind of like a plus anyway. I mean, Machina's deactivate cost 4, and you get to put 3 cards in the field. If you put 2 of these and they're already low on resource, not only can you possibly have 2 open for a Keen Sense or to Feethsing one of them if something does happen, but you essentially paid 4 to get 2 4-drops in the field, which let alone the other card you're going to summon too. And once again, with the field spell, it just gets so strong. So I feel like it actually has a lot of potential. It's just people haven't tested it yet, and they read the name, and I mean, they read the effect and hear the if this card's dealt damage, destroy it, and they start to worry. So I'm really comfortable with this Resonator lineup, and then I'm going to move on to the spells. So of course I'm going to start off with Marybell. I think Marybell is an amazing addition to this deck, let alone the fact that it's just really good against other Regalia decks because it could destroy them. I think it's just so powerful. The first effect is if your J-Roller to be dealt damage, prevent 200 of it, so it makes Machina outside of Flame of the Outer Worlds range. It then can pay 5 to become a 10/10 machine Resonator, which means it gets buffed up by all the field spells. And it's still considered a Regalia, and at the end phase it goes back to being a Regalia. And if Machina is your ruler, you can actually only pay 3 for this effect. And like I said, what makes that so good is, let's say he's in your Regalia, there's no like really designated zone for it, but let's say he's a Regalia, and your opponent declares an attack and you have 3 open, you can just summon this and block, and then destroy the Resonator, and then at the end phase when this goes back, it's just more of the same concept of you're not using any particular resource. I mean, it's a free body that comes onto the field. You're getting free cards to your hand every time you add. When you summon him, you get free monsters on the board, and then you have all these kill spells and counters. So you're never kind of falling behind while they keep losing to stuff that just kind of it gives you blanket free stuff, like, you know, a Machina block or a counter, and then, you know, when you add something to your hand, you now replace the counter you had in your hand. So it's just so powerful, and I feel like this deck is so underestimated, and Machina as a ruler isn't being talked enough about, but he seems so good. And you can also, yeah, it's pay 1 and tap to destroy another Regalia, so it does have a cost. But I generally think this card is insane. I mean, if you have it on the field, your opponent never knows if you're going to either want to summon it to block something, if you're going to want to keep the mana open to search, if you're going to want to keep the mana open for a kill spell or a counter. It just kind of plays a lot of mind games with them, and you can get some free damage in with it as well. So I don't see how this card isn't just incredible in this deck. And then 3 of the Mechanical City. This field spell gives 2/2 to all machines, and then you can tap it and pay 2 for a target Resonator on the field to lose a symbol skill, and then one of your cards can, well, another card on the field in general can gain it. And that's actually really amazing because there's been times where you're going against like a Gwyber, and you can kind of just like take the flying away from it and then put it onto some other crappy thing you have just to either get some damage in or to block the Gwyber with something else. So if you had like, let's say, a Clockwork Soldier and they have something like a Gwyber and they're going for 12, you can just you tap the effect to take the flying off Gwyber, put it on, let's say, one of your Resonators or whatever, and then block the Gwyber with the Clockwork Soldier. And then if possible, because you have one of these on the field, he's at least a 5/5, and if you had at least 2 or maybe just a bunch of mana open, you can essentially pump up the Clockwork Soldier all the way to like Gwyber's defense amounts around like 1200 or more. You wouldn't get to 1200, but you can make it, let's see, it would be 5/5, and then it would be 7, 7, 9, 11, 13. So you can make it 13 and block the Gwyber, and that's, you just kill the Gwyber with the Clockwork Soldier. So it's also nice to be able to, maybe, let's say if they have a Gwyber and they did get damage in because you didn't have as much mana, on your recovery, you can steal the flying from Gwyber if they have some other Resonators, put it on your Clockwork Soldier, use all your mana to give it 200 attack, and then swing for an insane amount if you really need the damage in. Once again, I wouldn't do it if it wasn't for lethal, but it's just a possibility, and I think that's really cool. I have 4 Thunders. Thunder's really good because Vlad is still an issue this format. Killing their Elvish Priest is extremely important. I don't have these in my Arla deck, and it's the one card that I sometimes find myself missing. I might try to fit them in because it is a really brutal matchup if you can't get rid of those elves. So I've always liked Thunder. Plus the 500 direct is nice because you do put a lot of pressure on with the deck, so if you can get some extra damage in, it doesn't hurt. 3 Flame of the Outer World. This is mainly for stuff like Kayn or anything, if those kind of rulers start seeing play, maybe Alice. Even if they're using Marybell for the 200 damage reduction, you can use your Marybell to destroy their Marybell, and then Flame of the Outer World, and they would die. So it's really nice to know that you can kind of have an answer to other J rulers too, because that's the one card, those are the one category that I feel like the deck would have trouble with without Flame. Grusbelesta Flame is really strong still, so I wanted to make sure I fit it in. 2 Stoning to Death. The reason why Stoning to Death and Thunder and Flame I think are also so especially good in this deck is because the same with the counters actually. If you have the 2 black open and they drop something like a Blazer, and of course the black stones other than Grusbelesta are also green, it's so nice to know that you can either Xeex the Blazer, you can Stoning something if it attacks. If they drop something that's not so threatening and you know you can take care of it next turn, you can just not do either and search a card during your end phase, search a card during your draw. It's just so nice to know that you have all these like options to choose from. It feels kind of like the 6 Age deck profile I made where you just play very passively and kind of just let whatever happens, and then you just slowly respond to it and then slowly add cards to your hand. And once you're out of resource, you just start dumping everything, and there's only so much they can respond to that I know you're going to be able to just catch up and kind of get some really heavy damage in and set up a lot of strong fields. And then 3 Blessing of Yggdrasil. This card is why I run this over Gretel, because I don't want to miss off Feethsing or Grusbelesta. I don't mind that it comes in rested because it's already searching so much. I don't think I'm going to mind losing a turn of searching here and there. And it's too crucial, I think, to search Feethsing and Grusbelesta with these, because not only do they just count as a colorless cost for Marybell, so you're kind of ramping towards Marybell being really useful too, but Grusbelesta, like I said, just takes more cards away from them while you're not losing a lot of resource. And Feethsing protects stuff like Imitation Dragon, so I think it's just really important to be able to get to those cards without missing off something like Gretel, so I didn't mind not having the body for it. I thought, of course, even if you did hit a Gretel, you'd have one open to search, but I thought it was just kind of really important to get to the stones instead. And then for Xeex, of course, cancels summons. It can also give 2/2 to everything. I don't really use that effect very often, but it also gives untargetable to something. So if they do target your Imitation Dragon and you have enough damage with it next turn, and you don't want to lose it or anything, and you don't have a Feethsing open, you can always Xeex to give it untargetable. You can counter summons and then search. You could just do so much with this card. It's always been really self-explanatory. And then Keen Sense, it's the new Cake Zone. Because I don't have Gretel's, I'm running this instead because it could also destroy chance standby areas if you go against like a Res Art or something. So once again, it's just there to protect Imitation Dragon. You can counter spells like Spiral that might be against you searching cards. It just does a lot for the deck. I want to be able to have as many counters, but I've never thought 4 of a spell counter was necessary. Even though spells are of course great, I don't think they're played enough where you're going to go through all 3 Keen Senses in one game anyway. So I thought 3 would be totally fine, whereas Xeex I wanted to see as early as possible because I don't want to let them set up and kind of run me over. Because if I can, you know, counter something that's really strong instead of having to waste a kill spell on it like a Flame, when I can keep Flame for their J-Ruler, I just think it's a lot better. For the side, I have a Blazer. Blazer, of course, on enters, destroys J-Ruler and wipes it from all of its abilities. I wanted to make sure I had this available because, like I said, even with the Flames and the Grusbelesta, Rulers might be a problem depending on what the Regalias do to the meta. And I wanted to kind of have an answer for it for sure, just in case. I also like that because I have Blazer, I can afford to play the Deathscythes in the side. And then with the fact that I have main deck Keen Sense, a lot of people are mentioning that, you know, we might have a deck that uses a ton of Regalia, and then if you try to, let's say, use Blazer against them, they'll be prepared with either Queen's Butler or Breath of the God. And I have Thunders for the Queen's Butlers, and I have Keen Sense for the Breath of the God. So I wanted to make sure to have a for sure way to get over it, just in case that deck did become big. Oh, sorry about that. 2 Glindas. I think that this works really well with Clockwork Soldier. A lot of my side is kind of either, other than the Blazer, is to just rush, just in case I'm not getting damage in as fast as I should. Glinda can make Clockwork Soldier unblockable, and then you just pump it to a crazy amount and get some damage in. Credo for Vlad, I don't want them to be able to heal. It's really frustrating to have to deal with all the damage and all the life gain they have. 2 Flame King Shout. I really am fond of this card because it wipes all their small blockers away. If I can't steal flying off stuff like Wyver or off Imitation Dragon myself, I'd rather just wipe all their little stuff off the board, especially if there's Elvish Priests and stuff in it, so I thought it'd be good to have. 3 Bonsai attacks because, like I said, I want to be able to rush if I'm not getting damage in fast enough, so if I am going against like a Vlad deck and I need more damage, I'd use these cards. And then 1 March of the Machine Lord because same concept as a Bonsai attack, except it's cheaper if you have a more sustained board. If you can use this really early, you can get a decent amount of damage in. And I thought I'd try just 1 over a 4th Bonsai attack because I can kind of mitigate the cost a lot better. So I thought it wouldn't hurt to just test that one. So thanks for watching, guys. If you guys do have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. I'm always on Facebook trying to help everyone out, so if you guys want to ask me questions on there too, the link for my actual Facebook is in the description below as well. So you can always shoot me a message if you have any questions, or if you have any suggestions, actually it'd be great because I haven't had too much time with this deck, so if you guys think of anything I can add to the deck, it would really be awesome. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do because I do have a ton of deck profiles coming next week. I'll do the other 5 rulers that are left over other than Faria and Melgus. And then the week after that probably has a story video coming, so stay tuned for that. And I will definitely catch you guys next time.